Hare Krishna. Introduction. The album Uvacha is a compilation of verses spoken by different stalwart personalities or pure devotees, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Hari or Krishna. This garland of verses from Srimad Bhagavatam describes the power, beauty, fame, and other transcendental qualities and attributes of the Supreme Lord. Let's all take a short tour of Srimad Bhagavatam through these nectarine glorifications, which is the bestower of the ultimate goal of life, the love of God, Krishna Prema. May that all auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam, which is non-different from the Supreme Lord, bless all of us by granting the taste of reading and hearing those sublime verses eternally. Grantha Raja Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Gurabhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sūta uvaca Jagrihe paurusham rūpam bhagavan mahadhadivihi sambhūtam shodashakalam ādhau lokasrisikshaya. Sūta Goswami said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. Arjuna uvaca Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvam eko dahyamananam apavardhosi samshritehe. Arjuna said, O my Lord Sri Krishna, you are the Almighty Personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are the competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. Uttaro vaca Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate Nanyam tvad abhayam pashye yatra mrityu parasparam. Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. Kunti uvaca Namasye purusham tvadhyam ishvaram prakrite param Alaksham sarva bhutanam antarbahir avastitam. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you, because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Shri Bhishma uvaca iti matir upakalpita vitrishna bhagavati satvata punghave vibhumni Swasukham upagate kvachid vihartum prakritim upeyushi yadbhava pravaha. Bhishma Deva said, Let me now invest my thinking, feeling and willing which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in the all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna. He is always self-satisfied, but sometimes, being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending on the material world, although from him only the material world is created. Rishaya uchuhu Sūta jīvas samā saumya shāshvatir vishadham yashaha Yastvam shamsasi krishnasya martyanam amritam hinaha. The good sages said, O grave Sūta Goswami, may you live many years and have eternal fame, for you are speaking very nicely about the activities of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. This is just like nectar for mortal beings like us. Shri Shuka Uvacha Namah Parasmai Purushaya Bhuyase Sad Udbhavastana Nirodha Leelaya Gruhita Shakti Tritayaya Dehinam Antarbhavaya Nupalakshya Vartmane. Shukadeva Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable. Brahmovacha Bhagavan sarva bhutanam adyaksho vastito guham Vedahi apratiruddhena prajnanena chikirshitam. Lord Brahma said, O personality of Godhead, you are situated in every living entity's heart as the supreme director, and therefore you are aware of all endeavors by your superior intelligence, without any hindrance whatsoever. Deva uchuhu namamate deva padhara vindham prapannatapo pashamata patram yanmulaketa yatayonjasoro samsara dukkam bahirutkshipanti. The demigod said, O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances onto your lotus feet. Maitreya uvacha Gunavyatikara kharo nirvisesho pratishtitaha Purushastat upadhanam atmanam leelaya shrujat. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. Manur uvacha adhesheham bhagavato varteyami vasudana sthanam tvihanujanihi prajanam mama cha prabho. Shri Manu said, O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now please let me know my place and that of the living entities born of me. Kashyapa uvacha kritashokanutapena sadya pratyavamarshkanat bhagavati urumanacha bhave mayi api chadarat putrasyaiva ja putranam bhavitaikas satham mataha Ghāsyanti yad yashashuddham bhagavat yashasa samam. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your lamentation, penitence and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and your adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons of your son will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the Personality of Godhead. Kumāra uchuhu yontarhito hridikatopi dhuratmanam tvam sodyaiva nayanamulam anantaraddaha yarhyeva karna vivarena guham ghatonaha pitranuvarnitaraha bhavat udbhavena. The Kumāra said, our dear Lord, you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our father, Brahma, through the years have now been actually realized by your kind appearance. Rishir uvacha Jushtham batadya satvarashe samsidyam akshnostava darshanannaha yad darshanam janmabhir idya sadbhir ashasate yogino ruda yogaha. The great sage Kardama said, O Supreme Worshipful Lord, my power of sight is now fulfilled, having attained the greatest perfection of the sight of you, who are the reservoir of all existences. Through many successive births of deep meditation, advanced yogis aspire to see your transcendental form. Jantur uvacha tasyopasannam avitum jagad ichayatha nana tanor bhuvi chalat charanaravindam soham vrajami sharanam hi akuto bhayam me yene drishi gatir adharshi asato nurupa. The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. Shaunaka uvacha Kapilastattva sankyata bhagavan atmamayaya jhatasvayam ajassakshad atma prajnaptayendranam. Sri Shaunaka said, although he is unborn, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took birth as Kapila Muni by his internal potency. He descended to disseminate transcendental knowledge for the benefit of the whole human race. Devahutir uvacha athapi ajontas salileshayanam bhutendriyartatmamayam vapuste gunapravaham sad asesha bhijam dhadyau swayam yad jhatarabjajataha. Devahuti said, Brahma is said to be unborn because he takes birth from the lotus flower which grows from your abdomen while you lie in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. But even Brahma simply meditated upon you, whose body is the source of unlimited universes. Sadhasya uchuhu Utpati advani asharana uruklesha dhurghenta gogra व्यालान्विष्ठे विषयमृगदृशी आत्मगेहोरुबारः द्वन्द्वश्वभ्रे कलमृगभये शोकधावेज्ञसार्तः पादौ कस्ते शरणदकथायाति कामोपसृष्टः. The members of the assembly addressed the Lord. O exclusive shelter of all who are situated in troubled life, in this formidable fort of conditional existence, the time element, like a snake, is always looking for an opportunity to strike. This world is full of ditches of so-called distress and happiness, and there are many ferocious animals always ready to attack. The fire of lamentation is always blazing, and the mirage of false happiness is always alluring. But one has no shelter from them. Thus foolish persons live in the cycle of birth and death, always overburdened in discharging their so-called duties, and we do not know when they will accept the shelter of your lotus feet. Rudra uvacha tava varadavarangram ashisheha kilarte hi api munibir asaktair adharenarhaniye yadi rachita diyamma vidya lokopaviddham japati naghanaye tattvat paranugrahena. Lord Shiva said, "My dear Lord, my mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet, which as the source of all benediction and the fulfillment of all desires, are worshipped by all liberated great sages, because your lotus feet are worthy of worship. With my mind fixed on your lotus feet, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me, claiming that my activities are not purified. I do not mind their accusations, and I excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion toward all living entities." Brighur uvacha yanmayaya gahanaya pahrutatma bodha brahmadayastanu swapantaha natman shritam tava vidhanti adhunapi tattvam soyam prasidatu bhavan pranatatma bandhuhu. Sri Brigu said, "My dear Lord, all living entities, beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. They are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the super soul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of all surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind toward us and forgive all our offenses." Indra uvacha idham api achyuta vishvabhavanam vapuranandakaram manodrisham suravidvitshapanair udhayudhair bhujadhandair upapannam ashtabhihi. King Indra said, "My dear Lord, your transcendental form with 8 hands and weapons in each of them appears for the welfare of the entire universe, and it is very pleasing to the mind and eyes. In such a form, your Lordship is always prepared to punish the demons who are envious of your devotees." Patya uchuhu yajñoyam tava yajanaya kena srishtho vidvasta pashupatinadya dakshakopat thamnastvam shavashayanava shantamedham Yajñātman nalina rucha drisha punihi. The wives of the performers of the sacrifice said, My dear Lord, this sacrifice was arranged under the instruction of Brahma, but unfortunately Lord Shiva, being angry at Daksha, devastated the entire scene, and because of his anger, the animals meant for sacrifice are lying dead. Therefore, the preparations of the yajna have been lost. Now, by the glance of your lotus eyes, the sanctity of the sacrificial arena may be again invoked. Rishaya uchuhu ananvitam te bhagavanti cheshtitam yad atmana charasihi karmanajyase vibhutaye yata upasedur ishvarim namanyate swayam anuvartatim bhavan. The sages prayed, Dear Lord, your activities are most wonderful, and although you do everything by your different potencies, you are not at all attached to such activities. You are not even attached to the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by the great demigods like Brahma, who pray to achieve her mercy. Siddha uchuhu ayam tvatkatam mrishtapiyusha nadhyam manovaranatklesha dhavagni dagdaha trisharto baghado na sasmaradhavam na nishkramati brahma sampannavannaha. The Siddhas prayed, like an elephant that has suffered in the forest fire but can forget all its troubles by entering a river. Our minds, O Lord, always merge in the nectarian river of your transcendental pastimes, and they desire never to leave such transcendental bliss, which is as good as the pleasure of merging in the Absolute. Yajamani uvacha Swagatam te prasidhesha tubhyam namaha Srinivasa shriya kantaya trahinaha Tvamrute dhishanan ghairmakashobhate Shirshahina kabhando yata purushaha. The wife of Daksha prayed as follows, My dear Lord, it is very fortunate that you have appeared in this arena of sacrifice. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, and I request that you be pleased on this occasion. The sacrificial arena is not beautiful without you, just as a body is not beautiful without the head. Lokapala uchuhu Drishta kimno drigbir asadgrahaistvam Pratyak drashta drishyate yena vishvam Maya hi yesha bhavadhiya hi bhuman Yastvam sashtaha panchabhir bhasi bhutaihi. The governors of various planets spoke as follows, Dear Lord, we believe only in our direct perception. But under the circumstances, we do not know whether we have actually seen you with our material senses. By our material senses, we can simply perceive the cosmic manifestation. But you are beyond the 5 elements. You are the 6th. We see you, therefore, as a creation of the material world. Yogeshvara uchuhu Preyannatenyosti amutasvayi prabho Vishvatmanikshena pritagya atmanaha Athapi bhaktesha tayopadhavatam Ananya vrityanugruhana vatsala. The great mystic said, Dear Lord, persons who see you as non-different from themselves, knowing that you are the super soul of all living entities, are certainly very, very dear to you. You are very favorable toward those who engage in devotional service, accepting you as the Lord and themselves as the servants. By your mercy, you are always inclined in their favor. Brahmovacha Namaste Shrita Sattvaya Dharmadinam cha Sutaye Nirghunaya cha Yathashtham Naham Veda Parepi cha. The personified Vedas said, "We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, the Lord, the shelter of the quality of goodness, and therefore the source of all religion, austerity and penance. For you are transcendental to all material qualities, and no one knows you or your actual situation." Agnir uvacha Yat tejasaham susamiddhateja Havyam vahe svadvara ajyasiktam Tam yajniyam panchavidham cha panchabihi Svishtham yajurvipranatosmi yajñam. The fire god said, "My dear Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because by your favor I am as luminous as blazing fire, and I accept the offerings mixed with butter and offered in sacrifice." The 5 kinds of offerings according to the Yajurveda are all your different energies, and you are worshipped by 5 kinds of Vedic hymns. Sacrifice means your supreme personality of Godhead. Deva uchuhu Pura kalpapaye swakrutam udharikritya vikrutam Tvam evadyastasmin salila uraghendradishayane Puman seshe siddhair hridivim shrithadyatma padabihi Sayevadyakshnoryapati charasi vrutyan avasinaha. The demigod said, "Dear Lord, formerly, when there was a devastation, you conserved all the different energies of material manifestation. At that time, all the inhabitants of the higher planets, represented by such liberated souls as Sanaka, were meditating on you by philosophical speculation. You are therefore the original person, and you rest in the water of devastation, on the bed of the Sesha snake. Now today, you are visible to us, who are all your servants. Please give us protection." Gandharva uchuhu Amshamshasthe deva marichi adhayayete Brahmendradya deva ghana rudra purogaha Kridhabhandham vishvam idham yasya vibhuman Tasmai nityam nata namaste karavama. The Gandharvas said, "Dear Lord, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, and Marichi, and the great sages, are all only differentiated parts and parcels of your body. You are the Supreme Almighty Great. The whole creation is just like a plaything for you. We always accept you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we offer our respectful obeisances unto you." Vidyadhara uchuhu Tvanmayayartam abhipadhya kalevaresmin Kritva mamaham iti dhurmatir utpatai svaihi Kshiptopi asad vishaya lalasa atmamoham Yushmat katamrita nishevaka udvyudasyet. The Vidyadharas said, "Dear Lord, This human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective. But impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with his body and with the material energy, and therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary, illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in the hearing and chanting of such topics, he can be delivered from illusion.
Brahmana uchuhu tvam kratustvam havistvam hutashasvayam tvam hi mantras samidharva patrani cha tvam sadasyartvijo dhampati devata agnihotram swadha soma ajyam pashuhu.
The Brahmana said, Dear Lord, you are sacrifice personified. You are the offering of clarified butter. You are the fire. You are the chanting of Vedic hymns by which the sacrifice is conducted. You are the fuel. You are the flame. You are the kusha grass. And you are the sacrificial pots. You are the priests who perform the yajna. You are the demigods headed by Indra. And you are the sacrificial animal. Everything that is sacrificed is you, or your energy.
Deva uchuhu naivam vidhamo bhagavan pranarodham characharasya kila sattvadhamnaha videhi tanno vrijinad vimoksham prapta vayam tvam sharanam sharanyam.
The demigod said, Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating, their breathing processes choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger.
Dhruva uvacha yonta pravishya mama vachamimam prasuptam sanjivayati akila shakti dharasvadamna anyamscha hastacharana shravanatvagadhin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam.
Dhruva Maharaja said, My dear Lord, you are all powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses. My hands, legs, ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Vidura uvacha sudhurlabham yat paramam padham harer maya vinastaccharanarchanarjitam labdvapi asiddhartam ivaika janmana khatam swam atmanam amanyatartavite.
Sri Vidura inquired, My dear Brahmana, the abode of the Lord is very difficult to attain. It can be attained only by pure devotional service, which alone pleases the most affectionate, merciful Lord. Dhruva Maharaja achieved this position even in one life, and he was very wise and conscientious. Why then was he not very pleased?
Munaya uchuhu autanapada bhagavam stavasharngadhanva devakshinotvavanatarti haro vipakshan yannamadheyam abhidhaya nishamya chadha लोकोऽञ्जसा तरति दुस्तरमङ्गमृत्युम्.
All the sages said, Dear Dhruva, O son of King Uttanapada, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Sharanga, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus the devotee is saved.
Pratur uvacha varan vibhotvad-bharadheshvarat buddhaha khatam vrunite guna vikriyatmanam yena rakanam api santi dehinam tan isha kaivalyapate vrunena cha.
My dear Lord, you are the best of the demigods, who can offer benedictions. Why therefore should any learned person ask you for benedictions meant for living entities bewildered by the modes of nature? Such benedictions are available automatically, even in the lives of living entities suffering in hellish conditions. My dear Lord, you can certainly bestow merging into your existence, but I do not wish to have such a benediction.
Sanat Kumāra uvacha sadhu prishtham maharajas sarvabhuta hitatmanam bhavata vidusha chapi sadhunam matir idrishi.
Sanat Kumāra said, My dear King Prithu, I am very nicely questioned by you. Such questions are beneficial for all living entities, especially because they are raised by you, who are always thinking of the good of others. Although you know everything, you ask such questions because that is the behavior of saintly persons. Such intelligence is befitting your position.
Devya uchuhu aho iyam vadhur danya yachaivam bhubujam patim sarvatmana patim bheje yajñesham shrir vadhur iva.
The wives of the demigods said, All glories to Queen Archi. We can see that this queen of the great King Prithu, the emperor of all the kings of the world, has served her husband with mind, speech and body, exactly as the goddess of fortune serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yajñesha or Vishnu.
Prachina barhi uvacha sarvesham eva jantunam satatam deha poshane asti prajñā samāyattā ko visheshastadānranām labdvehante manushyattvam hitva dehādi asadraham atmashrutya vihāyedam jīvātmā savishishyate.
A desire to maintain body, wife and children is also observed in animal society. The animals have full intelligence to manage such affairs. If a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and an animal? One should be very careful to understand that this human life is attained after many births in the evolutionary process. A learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life, both gross and subtle, will by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge become a prominent individual spirit soul as the Supreme Lord is also.
Prachetasa uchuhu namo namaha klesha vināshanāya nirupito dhara guna vayaya mano vacho vega purojhavaya सर्वाक्षमार्घैर् अगताध्वने नमः.
The Prachetas spoke as follows. Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again.
Narada uvaca tajjanmatani karmani tad ayustan manovacaha nrnam yena hi vishvatma sevyate haririshvaraha.
The great sage Narada said, when a living entity is born to engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller, his birth, all his fruitive activities, his lifespan, his mind and his words are all factually perfect.
Rutvija uchuhu arhasi muhur arhattamarhanam asmakam anupatanam namo nama iti yetavat sad upashikshitam korhati puman prakriti guna vyatikaramatiranīša ishvarasya parasya prakriti purushayor arvaktanabhirnama rupakritibi rupa nirupanam sakala jananikaya vrijina nirasana shivatama pravara guna ghanaika dhesha katanadrute.
The priests began to offer prayers to the Lord, saying, O most worshipable one, we are simply your servants. Although you are full in yourself, please, out of your causeless mercy, accept a little service from us, your eternal servants. We are not actually aware of your transcendental form, but we can simply offer our respectful obeisances again and again, as instructed by the Vedic literatures and authorized acharyas. Materialistic living entities are very much attracted to the modes of material nature, and therefore they are never perfect. But you are above the jurisdiction of all material conceptions. Your name, form, and qualities are all transcendental and beyond the conception of experimental knowledge. Indeed, who can conceive of you? In the material world, we can perceive only material names and qualities. We have no other power than to offer our respectful obeisances and prayers unto you, the transcendental person. The chanting of your auspicious transcendental qualities will wipe out the sins of all mankind. That is the most auspicious activity for us, and we can thus partially understand your supernatural position.
Rishabha uvaca nayam deho deha bhajam nriloke khashthan kaman arhate vidbujam ye tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam shuddhyed yasmad brahma saukyam tvanantam.
Lord Rishabhadeva told his sons, My dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever.
रहूगण उवाच नमो नमः कारणविग्रहाय स्वरूपतुच्छीकृतविग्रहाय नमो वधूतद्विजबन्धुलिङ्ग निगूढनित्यानुभवाय तुभ्यम्.
King Rahugana said, O most exalted personality, you are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kinds of contradiction in the Shastras have been removed. In the dress of a friend of a Brahmana, you are hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
भद्रश्रवस ऊचुः ॐ नमो भगवते धर्मायात्मविशोधनाय नम इति.
The ruler Bhadrashrava and his intimate associates uttered the following prayer. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all religious principles, who cleanses the heart of the conditioned soul in this material world. Again and again, we offer our respectful obeisances unto him.
यमधूता ऊचुः वेद प्रणिहितो धर्मो हि अधर्मस्तद्विपर्ययः वेदो नारायणः साक्षात् स्वयंभूरिति शुश्रुम.
The Yamadutas replied, that which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma, the religious principles, and the opposite of that is irreligion. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, and are self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraja.
Yama uvacha paro madhanyo jagatastastushascha otam protam patavad yatra vishvam yad amshatosya stiti janmanasha nasyotabhadyasya vashe cha lokaha.
Yamaraja said, my dear servants, you have accepted me as the Supreme, but factually I am not. Above me and above all the other demigods, including Indra and Chandra, is the one Supreme Master and Controller. The partial manifestations of his personality are Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, who are in charge of the creation, maintenance and annihilation of this universe. He is like the two threads that form the length and breadth of a woven cloth. The entire world is controlled by him, just as a bull is controlled by a rope in its nose.
Shri Prajapatir Uvacha Namaha Paraya Vitadhanubhutaye Gunatrayabhasa Nimitta Bandhave Adrishtadhamne Gunatattva Buddhivir Nivrittamanaya Dhade Swayambhuve.
Prajapati Daksha said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to the illusory energy and the physical categories it produces. He possesses the potency for unfailing knowledge and supreme willpower, and he is the controller of the living entities and the illusory energy. The conditioned souls who have accepted this material manifestation as everything cannot see him, for he is above the evidence of experimental knowledge. Self-evident and self-sufficient, he is not caused by any superior cause. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Shri Vishvarupa Uvacha Dhautangripanir Achamya Sapavitra Udanmukaha कृतस्वाङ्गकरन्यासो मन्त्राभ्यां वाग्यतः शुचिः नारायणपरं वर्म सन्नह्येद्वय आगते पादयोर्जानुनोर्ऊर्वोरुदरे हृदि अतोरसि मुखे शिरसि आनुपूर्व्याद् ओङ्कारादीनि विन्यसेत् ॐ नमो नारायणायेति विपर्ययम् अतापि वा।
Vishvarupa said, if some form of fear arrives, one should first wash his hands and legs clean and then perform achamana by chanting this mantra.
Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sabahyabhyantarashuchihi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu.
Then one should touch kusha grass and sit gravely and silently, facing north. When completely purified, one should touch the mantra composed of 8 syllables to the 8 parts of his body and touch the mantra composed of 12 syllables to his hands. Thus, in the following manner, he should bind himself with the Narayana coat of armor. First, while chanting the mantra composed of 8 syllables,
Om Namo Narayanaya,
beginning with the pranava, the syllable Om, one should touch his hands to 8 parts of his body, starting with the 2 feet and progressing systematically to the knees, thighs, abdomen, heart, chest, mouth and head. Then one should chant the mantra in reverse, beginning from the last syllable, Ya, while touching the parts of his body in the reverse order. These 2 processes are known as Utpatti Nyasa and Samhara Nyasa, respectively.
Shri Deva Uchuhu Vaivambaragni Apshitayastriloka Brahmadayo ye vayam udvijantaha Haramayasmai bhalimantako bhibeti yasmad aranam tatonnaha.
The demigod said, the 3 worlds are created by the 5 elements, namely ether, air, fire, water and earth, which are controlled by various demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma. Being very much afraid that the time factor will end our existence, we offer presentations onto time by performing our work as time dictates. The time factor himself, however, is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let us now worship that Supreme Lord who alone can give us full protection.
Anghira uvacha apite namayam swasti prakritinam tatatmanaha yata prakriti bhirguptaha puman raja cha saptabihi.
The great sage Anghira said, my dear king, I hope that your body and mind and your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. When the 7 properties of material nature, the total material energy, the ego and the 5 objects of sense gratification are in proper order, the living entity within the material elements is happy. Without these 7 elements, one cannot exist. Similarly, a king is always protected by 7 elements: his instructor, Swami or Guru, his ministers, his kingdom, his fort, his treasury, his royal order and his friends.
Jiva uvacha kasmin janmani amimahyam pitaro mataro bhavan karma bhirbhramyamanasya dhevatirgyandriyonishu.
By the mystic power of Narada Muni, the living entity re-entered his dead body for a short time and spoke in reply to Narada Muni's request. He said, "According to the results of my fruitive activities, I, the living being, transmigrate from one body to another, sometimes going to the species of the demigods, sometimes to the species of lower animals, sometimes among the vegetables, and sometimes to the human species. Therefore, in which birth were these my mother and father? No one is actually my mother and father. How can I accept these two people as my parents?"
चित्रकेतुर उवाच अजितज्जितः सममतिभिः साधुभिर्भवान् जितात्मभिर्भवताम् विजितास्तेऽपि च भजताम् अकामात्मानां य आत्मधोति करुणः.
Chitraketu said, "O unconquerable Lord, although you cannot be conquered by anyone, you are certainly conquered by devotees who have control of the mind and senses. They can keep you under their control because you are causelessly merciful to devotees who desire no material profit from you. Indeed, you give yourself to them, and because of this, you also have full control over your devotees."
श्री प्रह्लाद उवाच श्रवणं कीर्तनं विष्णो स्मरणं पादसेवनम् अर्चनं वन्दनं धास्यं सत्यम् आत्मनिवेदनम् इति पुंसार्पिता विष्णौ भक्तिश्चेन्नवलक्षणा क्रियेत भगवती अद्धा तन्मन्येधीतमुत्तमम्.
Prahlada Maharaja said, "Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto Him, in other words, serving Him with the body, mind and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge."
श्री गुरुपुत्र उवाच न मत्प्रणीतं न परप्रणीतं सुतो वदति एष तवेन्द्रशत्रो नैसर्गिकीयं मतिरस्य राजन् नियच्च मन्युं कथादस्ममानः.
The son of Shukracharya, Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master, said, "O enemy of King Indra, O king, whatever your son Prahlada has said was not taught to him by me or anyone else. His spontaneous devotion service has naturally developed in him. Therefore, please give up your anger and do not unnecessarily accuse us. It is not good to insult a Brahmana in this way."
श्रीदैत्यपुत्रा ऊचुः प्रह्लादत्वं वयं चापि नर्तेऽन्यं विद्महे गुरुम् एधाभ्यां गुरुपुत्राभ्यां भालानाम् अपि ईश्वरौ भालस्यान्तः पुरस्तस्य महत्सङ्गो दुरन्वयः छिन्दिनः संशयं सौम्यस्याच्चेद्विस्रम्भकारणम्.
The sons of the demons replied, "Dear Prahlada, neither you nor we know any teacher or spiritual master other than Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya. After all, we are children and they are our controllers. For you especially, who always remain within the palace, it is very difficult to associate with the great personality. Dear friend, most gentle one, would you kindly explain how it was possible for you to hear Narada? Kindly dispel our doubts in this regard.
Shri Rishaya Uchuhu Tvam Nastapa Paramam Attayat Atmatejo Yenedham Adipurushatmagatam Sasarta Tad Vipraluptam Amunadya Sharanyapala Raksha Gruhita Vapusha Punaranvamamstaha.
All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. O Lord, O Supreme Maintainer of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O Original Personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance, in which you instructed us before, is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world, which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon, but now, by yourself appearing in the form of Nrsimhadeva, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity.
Shri Pitara Uchuhu Shraddhani no dibubuje prasabham tanujair Dhattani tirtha samayepi apibhatti lambu Tasyodharan naga vidhirna vapadya archat Tasmai namo nrharaye kila dharma goptre.
The inhabitants of Pitraloka prayed, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadeva, the maintainer of the religious principles of the universe. He has killed Hiranyakashipu, the demon who by force enjoyed all the offerings of the Shraddha ceremonies performed by our sons and grandsons on the anniversaries of our death, and who drank the water with sesame seeds offered in holy places of pilgrimage. By killing this demon, O Lord, you have taken back all the stolen property from his abdomen by piercing it with your nails. We therefore wish to offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
Shri Siddha Uchuhu Yono Ghatim Yoga Siddham Asadhur Aharishid Yoga Tapobalena Nana Dharpam Tam Nakhair Vidhadhara Tasmai Tubhyam Pranathasmo Nrsimha.
The inhabitants of Siddhaloka prayed, O Lord Nrsimhadeva, because we belong to Siddhaloka, we automatically achieve perfection in all 8 kinds of mystic power. Yet Hiranyakashipu was so dishonest that by the strength of his power and austerity, he took away our powers. Thus he became very proud of his mystic strength. Now, because this rogue has been killed by your nails, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
Shri Vidyadhara Uchuhu Vidyam Pratagdharanayanuradham Nyashedat Agnyo Bhalaviryadriptaha Sayena Shankye Pashubadhatastam Maya Nrsimham Pranatasma Nityam.
The inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka prayed, our acquired power to appear and disappear in various ways according to varieties of meditation was banned by that foolish Hiranyakashipu because of his pride in his superior bodily strength and his ability to conquer others. Now the Supreme Personality of Godhead has killed him just as if the demon were an animal. Unto that supreme pastime form of Lord Nrsimhadeva, we eternally offer our respectful obeisances.
Shri Nagha Uchuhu येन पापेन रत्नानि स्त्रीरत्नानि हृतानि नः तद्वक्षपाटनेनासां दत्तानन्दनमोऽस्तु ते.
The inhabitants of Nagaloka said, the most sinful Hiranyakashipu took away all the jewels on our hoods and all our beautiful wives. Now, since his chest has been pierced by your nails, you are the source of all pleasure to our wives. Thus we together offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
Shri Manava Uchuhu Manavo Vayam Tava Nidheshakarino Ditijena Deva Paribhuta Setavaha Bhavata Kalassa Upasamhruta Prabho Kharavamate Kim Anushadi Kinkaran.
All the Manus offered their prayers as follows. As your order carriers, O Lord, we the Manus are the lawgivers for human society. But because of the temporary supremacy of this great demon, Hiranyakashipu, our laws for maintaining Varnashrama Dharma were destroyed. O Lord, now that you have killed this great demon, we are in our normal condition. Kindly order us, your eternal servants, what to do now.
Shri Prajapataya Uchuhu Prajesha Vayam Te Paresha Visrishta Nayena Praja Vaishrijhamo Nishiddha Sayeshatvaya Bhinna Bhakshanushete Jaganmangalam Sattvamurte Vataraha.
The Prajapatis offered their prayers as follows. O Supreme Lord, Lord of even Brahma and Shiva, we the Prajapatis were created by you to execute your orders. But we were forbidden by Hiranyakashipu to create any more good progeny. Now the demon is lying dead before us, his chest pierced by you. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you, whose incarnation in this form of pure goodness is meant for the welfare of the entire universe.
Shri Gandharva Uchuhu Vayam Vibhote Natanatya Ghayaka Yenatmasad Virya Bhalauja Sakritaha Sayesha Nito Bhavata Dasham Imam Kim Utpatastak Kushalaya Kalpate.
The inhabitants of Gandharvaloka prayed, Your Lordship, we ever engage in your service by dancing and singing in dramatic performances. But this Hiranyakashipu, by the influence of his bodily strength and valor, brought us under his subjugation. Now he has been brought to this low condition by your Lordship. What benefit can result from the activities of such an upstart as Hiranyakashipu?
Shri Charana Uchuhu Hare Tavangri Pankajam Bhava Pavargam Ashritaha Yad Yesha Sadhu Hrichayastvaya Suras Samapitaha.
The inhabitants of the Charana planet said, O Lord, because you have destroyed the demon Hiranyakashipu, who was always a stake in the hearts of all honest men, we are now relieved, and we eternally take shelter of your lotus feet, which award the conditioned soul liberation from materialistic contamination.
Shri Yaksha Uchuhu Vayam Anuchara Mukhya Karma Bhiste Manojñais Ta Iha Didi Sutena Prapita Vahakatvam Satu Jana Paritapam Tatkritam Jhanatate Narahara Upanita Panchatam Panchavimsha.
The inhabitants of Yakshaloka prayed, O controller of the 24 elements, we are considered the best servants of your Lordship. because of rendering services pleasing to you. Yet we engaged as palanquin carriers by the order of Hiranyakashipu, the son of Diti. O Lord, in the form of Nrsimhadeva, you know how this demon gave trouble to everyone, but now you have killed him, and his body is mixing with the 5 material elements.
Shri Kim Purusha Uchuhu Vayam Kim Purushastvam Tu Mahapurusha Ishvaraha Ayam Kupurusho Nashtho Dikritas Sadhu Viryada.
The inhabitants of Kimpurusha Loka said, "We are insignificant living entities, and you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller. Therefore, how can we offer suitable prayers unto you?" When this demon was condemned by devotees because they were disgusted with him, he was then killed by you.
Shri Vaitalika Uchuhu Sabhasu Satreshu Thavamadam Yasho Ghitva Saparyam Mahatim Labhamahe Yastam Anaishid Vashamesha Dhurjano Dvishtya Hataste Bhagavan Yatamayaha.
The inhabitants of Vaitalika Loka said, "Dear Lord, because of chanting your spotless glories in great assemblies and arenas of sacrifice, we were accustomed to great respect from everyone. This demon, however, usurped that position. Now, to our great fortune, you have killed this great demon, exactly as one cures a chronic disease."
Shri Kinnara Uchuhu Vayam Isha Kinnara Ghanastavanuga Ditijena Vishtim Amunanukaritaha Bhavata Hare Sabrijino Vasadhito Narasimhanata Vibhavaya No Bhavai.
The Kinnaras said, "O Supreme Controller, we are ever existing servants of your Lordship. But instead of rendering service to you, we were engaged by this demon in his service, constantly and without remuneration. This sinful man has now been killed by you. Therefore, O Lord Nrsimhadeva, our Master, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Please continue to be our patron."
Shri Vishnu Parshada Uchuhu Adyaitadhari Nara Rupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Na Sharanada Sarvaloka Sharma Soyam Te Vidikara Isha Viprashaptas Tasyedam Midhanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha.
The associates of Lord Vishnu in Vaikunta offered this prayer: "O Lord, our supreme giver of shelter, today we have seen your wonderful form as Lord Nrsimhadeva, meant for the good fortune of all the world. O Lord, we can understand that Hiranyakashipu was the same Jaya who engaged in your service but was cursed by Brahmanas and who thus received the body of a demon. We understand that his having now been killed is your special mercy upon him."
Shri Manur Uvacha Yena Chetayate Vishvam Vishvam Chetayate Nayam Yo Jhagarti Shayanesmin Nayam Tam Veda Vedasaha.
Lord Manu said, "The Supreme Living Being has created this material world of animation. It is not that he was created by this material world. When everything is silent, the Supreme Being stays awake as a witness. The living entity does not know him, but he knows everything."
Shri Ghajendra Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etacchidatmakam Purushaya Dibhijaya Pareshaya Vidhimahi.
The king of the elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudeva. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him.
Shri Mahadeva Uvacha Deva Deva Jagadvyapin Jagadisha Jaganmaya Sarvesham api bhavanam tvam atma heturishvaraha.
Lord Mahadeva said, O chief demigod among the demigods, O all-pervading Lord, Master of the universe, by your energy you are transformed into the creation. You are the root and efficient cause of everything. You are not material. Indeed, you are the super soul or supreme living force of everything. Therefore, you are the Parameshvara, the supreme controller of all controllers.
Shri Adhitir Uvacha Yajñesha Yajña Purushachuta Tirtapadha Tirta Shrava Shravana Mangala Namadeya Apanna Loka Vrijino Pashamodhayadya Shamna Krudhisha Bhagavan Asidhina Nataha.
The goddess Aditi said, O master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person, whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune, O original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering living entities, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune.
Shri Bhalir Uvacha Aho Pranamaya Kritas Samudyamaha Prapanna Bhaktartha Vidau Samahitaha Yallokapalaistvad Anugraho Marair Alabda Purvo Pasade Surerpitaha.
Bali Maharaja said, what a wonderful effect there is in even attempting to offer respectful obeisances to you. I merely endeavored to offer you obeisances, but nonetheless the attempt was as successful as those of pure devotees. The causeless mercy you have shown to me, a fallen demon, was never achieved even by the demigods or the leaders of the various planets.
Shri Vindhyavalir Uvacha Kridhartam Atmana Idham Trijagat Kritam Te Swamyam Kutatra Kudiyo Para Isha Kuryuhu Kartu Prabhostava Kim Asyata Avahanti Tyakta Hriyastvad Avaropita Karturvadaha.
Srimati Vindhyavali said, O my Lord, you have created the entire universe for the enjoyment of your personal pastimes. But foolish, unintelligent men have claimed proprietorship for material enjoyment. Certainly, they are shameless agnostics, falsely claiming proprietorship. They think they can give charity and enjoy. In such a condition, what good can they do for you, who are the independent creator, maintainer and annihilator of this universe?
Shri Shukra Uvacha Kutastat Karma Vaishamyam Yasya Karmeshvaro Bhavan यज्ञेशो यज्ञपुरुषः सर्वभावेन पूजितः.
Shukracharya said, "My Lord, you are the enjoyer and lawgiver in all performances of sacrifice, and you are the Yajna Purusha, the person to whom all sacrifices are offered. If one has fully satisfied you, where is the chance of discrepancies or faults in his performances of sacrifice?"
Shri Shankara Uvacha Vayam natata prabhavama bhumni yasmin parenyepi ajajiva koshaha bhavanti kalena bhavanti hidrushaha sahasrasho yatra vayam pramamaha.
Lord Shiva said, "My dear son, I, Lord Brahma, and the other demigods who rotate within this universe under the misconception of our greatness cannot exhibit any power to compete with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For innumerable universes and their inhabitants come into existence and are annihilated by the simple direction of the Lord."
Dhurvasa uvacha aho ananta dhasanam mahatvam drishtamadhyame krithagasopi yadrajan manghalani samihase.
Durvasa Muni said, "My dear king, today I have experienced the greatness of devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For although I have committed an offense, you have prayed for my good fortune."
Amshuman uvacha na pashyati tvam param atmano jano na bhudyate dyapi samadhi yuktibhihi kuto pare tasya manashariradhi visarga srishtha vayam aprakashaha.
Amshuman said, "My Lord, even Lord Brahma is to this very day unable to understand your position, which is far beyond himself, either by meditation or by mental speculation. So what to speak of others like us, who have been created by Brahma in various forms as demigods, animals, human beings, birds, and beasts? We are completely in ignorance. Therefore, how can we know you, who are the transcendents?"
Shri Bhagirata Uvacha Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta Brahmishta Lokapavanaha Haranti Agham Tenga Sanghateshvastehi Agabiddarihi.
Bhagirata said, "Those who are saintly because of devotional service, and there are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires, and who are pure devotees, expert in following the regulative principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior, and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. For such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can vanquish all sinful reactions."
Shri Purur Uvacha Khonu Loke Manushyendra Pitur Atmakrita Puman Pratikartum Kshamo Yasya Prasadhat Vindate Param.
Puru replied, "O your Majesty, who in this world can repay his debt to his father? By the mercy of one's father, one gets the human form of life, which can enable one to become an associate of the Supreme Lord."
Shri Vasudeva Uvacha Viditosi Bhavan Sakshat Purusha Prakrite Paraha Kevalanubhavananda Swarupa Sarva Buddhidrik.
Vasudeva said, "My Lord, you are the Supreme Person beyond material existence, and you are the Super Soul. Your form can be perceived by transcendental knowledge, by which you can be understood as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I now understand your position perfectly."
श्रीदेवकी उवाच रूपं यत्तत् प्राहुरव्यक्तमाद्यं ब्रह्म ज्योतिर्निर्गुणं निर्विकारम् सत्तामात्रं निर्विशेषं निरीहम् सत्वं साक्षात् विष्णुरध्यात्मदीपः.
Sri Devaki said, "My dear Lord, there are different Vedas, some of which describe you as unperceivable through words and the mind. Yet you are the origin of the entire cosmic manifestation. You are the Brahman, the greatest of everything, full of effulgence like the sun. You have no material cause. You are free from change and deviation. You have no material desires. Thus the Vedas say that you are the substance. Therefore, my Lord, you are directly the origin of all Vedic statements, and by understanding you, one gradually understands everything. You are different from the light of Brahman and Paramatma, yet you are not different from them. Everything emanates from you. Indeed, you are the cause of all causes, Lord Vishnu, the light of all transcendental knowledge."
श्रीगर्ग उवाच अयं हि रोहिणी पुत्रो रमयन् सुहृदो गुणैः आख्यास्यते राम इति फलाधिक्यात् बलं विदुः यदूनाम् अपृथग्भावात् संकर्षणम् उषन्त्यपि.
Garga Muni said, "This child, the son of Rohini, will give all happiness to his relatives and friends by his transcendental qualities. Therefore, he will be known as Rama. And because he will manifest extraordinary bodily strength, he will also be known as Bhala. Moreover, because he unites two families, Vasudeva's family and the family of Nanda Maharaja, he will be known as Sankarshana."
नागपत्न्य ऊचुः न्यायो हि दण्डकृतकिल्बिषेऽस्मिन् तवावतारः खलनिग्रहाय रिपोसुधानाम् अपि तुल्यदृष्टिर्दत्सेधमं फलं येवानुशंसन्.
The wives of the Kaliya serpent said, "The punishment this offender has been subjected to is certainly just. After all, you have incarnated within this world to curb down envious and cruel persons. You are so impartial that you look equally upon your enemies and your own sons. For when you impose a punishment on a living being, you know it to be for his ultimate benefit."
श्रीगोप्य ऊचुः अक्षन्वतां फलम् इदं न परं विधामः सख्यः पशोन् अनविशेषयतोर्वयस्यैः वक्त्रं व्रजेश सुतयोरनवेणुजुष्टं यैर्वा निपीतम् अनुरक्तकटाक्षमोक्षम्.
The cowherd girl said, "O friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharaja Nanda are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest, surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavana. For those who have eyes, we think there is no greater object of vision."
श्रीगोप ऊचुः राम राम महाबाहो कृष्ण दुष्ट निबर्हण येषा वै भादते क्षुन्नस्तच्चान्तिं कर्तुमर्हतः.
The cowherd boy said, O Rama, Rama, mighty armed one, O Krishna, chastiser of the wicked, we are being harassed by hunger and you should do something about it.
श्रीपत्न्य ऊचुः मैवं विबोर्हति भवान् वदितुं नृशंसं सत्यं कुरुष्व निगमं तव पदमूलम्. प्राप्ता वयं तुलसीधाम पदावसृष्टम् केशैर्निवोढुम् अतिलङ्घ्य समस्तबन्धून्.
The wives of the Brahmanas replied, O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest so we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulasi leaves. You may neglectfully kick away with your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relationships.
सुरभिर्उवाच कृष्ण कृष्ण महायोगिन् विश्वात्मन् विश्वसम्भव भवता लोकनाथेन सनाता वयमच्युत.
Mother Surabhi said, O Krishna, Krishna, greatest of mystics, O soul and origin of the universe, you are the master of the world, and by your grace, O infallible Lord, we have you as our master.
श्रीवरुण उवाच अद्य मे निर्वृतो देहोऽद्यैवार्तोऽधिगतः प्रभो त्वत्पादभाजो भगवन् अवापूपारमध्वनः.
Shri Varuna said, Now my body has fulfilled its function. Indeed, now the goal of my life is achieved, O Lord. Those who accept your lotus feet, or personality of Godhead, can transcend the path of material existence.
श्रीभाधरायिणिर्उवाच भगवान् अपिता रात्री शारदोत्फुल्लमल्लिकाः वीक्ष्य रन्तुं मनश्चक्रे योगमायाम् उपाश्रितः.
Shri Bhadarayani said, Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in all opulences, yet upon seeing those autumn nights scented with blossoming jasmine flowers, he turned his mind toward loving affairs. To fulfill his purposes, he employed his internal potency.
श्री अक्रूर उवाच नतोऽस्म्यहं त्वा किल हेतुहेतुं नारायणं पूरुषमाध्यमव्ययम् यन्नामि जातात् अरविन्दकोशात् ब्रह्मा विरासीद्यत एष लोकः.
Shri Akrura said, I bow down to you, the cause of all causes, the original and inexhaustible Supreme Person, Narayana. From the hole of the lotus, born from your navel, Brahma appeared, and by his agency, this universe has come into being.
सैरन्द्रि उवाच दास्यस्म्यहं सुन्दरकंससम्मता त्रिवक्रनामा हि अनुलेपकर्मणि मद्भावितं भोजपतेरतिप्रियं विना युवां कोऽन्यतमस्तदर्हति.
The maidservant replied, O handsome one, I am the servant of King Kamsa, who highly regards me for the ointments I make. My name is Trivakra. Who else but you too deserve my ointments, which the Lord of the Bhojas likes so much.
Shri Gurur Uvacha Samyak Sampadito Vatsabhavadyam Guru Nishkrayaha खो नु युष्मद्विदगुरो कामानाम् अवशिष्यते.
The spiritual master said, "My dear boys, you too have completely fulfilled the disciple's obligation to reward his spiritual master. Indeed, with disciples like you, what further desires could a guru have?"
गोपी उवाच मदुपकितव बन्धो मा स्पृशङ्घ्रिं सपत्न्याः कुचविलुलितमाला कुङ्कुमश्मश्रुभिर्नः वहतु मधुपतिस्तन्मानिनीनां प्रसादम् यदु सदसि विडम्ब्यं यस्य धूतस्त्वमीदृक्.
The gopi said, "O honeybee, O friend of a cheetah, don't touch my feet with your whiskers, which are smeared with the kunkuma that rubbed onto Krishna's garland when it was crushed by the breasts of a rival lover. Let Krishna satisfy the women of Mathura. One who sends a messenger like you will certainly be ridiculed in the Yadu's assembly."
गोप्य ऊचुः दृष्ट्या हितो हतः कंसो यदूनां सानुभोगकृत् दृष्ट्याप्तैर्लब्ध सर्वार्थैः कुशली आस्ते च्युतोऽधुना.
The gopis said, "It is very good that Kamsa, the enemy and persecutor of the Yadus, has now been killed, along with his followers. And it is also very good that Lord Achyuta is living happily in the company of his well-wishing friends and relatives, whose every desire is now fulfilled."
Shri Muchukunda Uvacha Vimohitoyam Jana Isha Mayaya Twadiyaya Tvam Na Bhajati Anartadrik Sukhaya Dukka Prabhaveshu Sajjate Gruheshu Yoshit Purushascha Vanchitaha.
Shri Muchukunda said, "O Lord, the people of this world, both men and women, are bewildered by your illusory energy. Unaware of their real benefit, they do not worship you, but instead seek happiness by entangling themselves in family affairs, which are actually sources of misery."
Shri Rukmini Uvacha Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrivatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivarair Haratonggatapam Rupam Drusham Drushimatam Akhilartalabham Tvayachyuta Vishati Chittam Apatrapam Me.
Shri Rukmini said in her letter, as read by the Brahmana, "O beauty of the worlds, having heard of your qualities, which enter the ears of those who hear and remove their bodily distress, and having also heard of your beauty, which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see, I have fixed my shameless mind upon you, O Krishna."
Yudhishthira Uvacha Kim na acharitam shreyo na vedaham adhishvara Yogeshvaranam dhudharsho yanno drishtakumedasam.
King Yudhishthira said, "O Supreme Controller, I do not know what pious deeds we fools have done, so that we can see you, whom the masters of yogic perfection rarely see."
Shri Khalindi Uvacha Aham Devasya Savitur Duhitapatimichchati Vishnum Varenyam Varadam Tapapparamamastitaha.
Shri Khalindi said, "I am the daughter of the sun god. I desire to get as my husband the most excellent and munificent Lord Vishnu, and to that end I am performing severe penances."
Shri Rajovacha Khonyaste Vyadiko Natak Khanya Vara Ihepsitaha गुणैकदाम्नो यस्याङ्घे श्रीर्वसति अनपायिनी.
The king said, "My lord, who could be a better husband for my daughter than you, the exclusive abode of all transcendental qualities? On your body, the goddess of fortune herself resides, never leaving you for any reason."
भूमिर् उवाच नमस्ते देवदेवेश शङ्खचक्रगदाधर भक्तेच्चोपात्तरूपाय परमात्मन् नमोऽस्तु ते.
Goddess Bhumi said, "Obeisances unto you, O Lord of the chief demigods, O holder of the conch shell, disc and club, O supreme soul within the heart, you assume your various forms to fulfill your devotees' desires. Obeisances unto you."
ज्वर उवाच नमामि त्वानन्तशक्तिं परेशं सर्वात्मानं केवलं ज्ञप्तिमात्रम् विश्वोत्पत्तिस्थानसंरोधहेतुं यत्तद्ब्रह्म ब्रह्मलिङ्गं प्रशान्तम्.
The Shivajvara said, "I bow down to you of unlimited potencies, the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul of all beings. You possess pure and complete consciousness and are the cause of cosmic creation, maintenance and dissolution. Perfectly peaceful, you are the absolute truth to whom the Vedas indirectly refer."
राजान ऊचुः कृष्ण कृष्ण प्रमेयात्मन् प्रपन्न भयभञ्जन वयं त्वां शरणं यामो भवभीता पृथग्दियः.
The king said through their messengers, "O Krishna, Krishna, O immeasurable soul, destroyer of fear for those surrendered to you, despite our separatist attitude, we have come to you for shelter out of fear of material existence."
धूत उवाच इति मागद्द समृद्धा भवद्धर्षणकङ्क्षिणः प्रपन्ना पादमूलं ते दीनानां संविधीयताम्.
The messenger continued, "This is the message of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, who all hanker for your audience, having surrendered to your feet. Please bestow good fortune on those poor souls."
श्रीराजोवाच भगवन् यानि चान्यानि मुकुन्दस्य महात्मनः वीर्याणि अनन्तवीर्यस्य श्रोतुमिच्छामि हे प्रभो.
King Parikshit said, "My lord, O master, I wish to hear about other valorous deeds performed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, whose valor is unlimited."
Shri Brahmana उवाच किम् अस्माभिरनिर्वृत्तं देवदेव जगद्गुरो भवता सत्यकामेन येषां वासो गुरोरभूत्.
The Brahmana said, "What could I possibly have failed to achieve, O Lord of Lords, O universal teacher, since I was able to personally live with you, whose every desire is fulfilled at the home of our spiritual master?"
Shri Draupadi उवाच हे वैदर्भी अच्युतो भद्रे हे जाम्बवति कौशले हे सत्यभामे कालिन्दी शैब्ये रोहिणी लक्ष्मणे हे कृष्णपत्न्यये तन्नो ब्रूते वो भगवान् स्वयम् उपयेमे यथा लोकम् अनुकुर्वन् स्वमायया.
Shri Draupadi said, "O Vaidarbhi, Bhadra and Jambavati, O Kaushala, Satyabhama and Khalindi, O Shaibhya, Rohini, Lakshmana, and other wives of Lord Krishna, please tell me how the Supreme Lord Achyuta, imitating the ways of this world by his mystic power, came to marry each of you.
Shri Satyabhāmovaca Yo me sanabhivada tapta hridhatatena lipta bishapam apamarshtum upajahara jitvarksharajam ataratnamadhatsatena bhita pitadishatamam prabhavepi dattam.
Shri Satyabhama said, my father, his heart tormented by his brother's death, accused Krishna of killing him. To remove the stain on his reputation, the Lord defeated the king of the bears and took back the Shamantaka jewel, which he then returned to my father. Fearing the consequences of his offense, my father offered me to the Lord, even though I had already been promised to others.
Shri Jambavati Uvaca Prajñāya Dehakrit Amum Nijanata Daivam Sītāpatim Trinavahani Amunabhyayudyat Nyātvā Parikshita Upaharat Arhanam Mam Bhādau Pragruhya Maninaham Amushya Dāsi.
Shri Jambavati said, unaware that Lord Krishna was none other than his own master and worshipable deity, the husband of goddess Sita, my father fought with him for 27 days. When my father finally came to his senses and recognized the Lord, he took hold of his feet and presented him with both me and the Shamantaka jewel as tokens of his reverence. I am simply the Lord's maidservant.
Shri Mitra Bindhovaca Yo mam swayamvara upetya vijitya bhupan Ninyeshvayutagham ivatma bhalim viparihi Bhratrumscha me pakurutaha swapuram shriyaukhas Tasyastu me nubhavamangri avane janatvam.
Shri Mitravinda said, at my Swayamvara ceremony, he came forward, defeated all the kings present, including my brothers who dared insult him, and took me away just as a lion removes his prey from amidst a pack of dogs. Thus Lord Krishna, the shelter of the goddess of fortune, brought me to his capital city. May I be allowed to serve him by washing his feet, life after life.
Shri Satyovaca Saptokshanoti bhala virya suthikshna shringhan Pitra kritan kshitipa virya parikshanaya Tan vira dhurmadahanaskarasanugruhya Kridhan bhabandaha yata shishavo jatokan Ya ittam virya shulkam mam dhasi vishchaturanginim Pati nirjitya rajanyan ninye tadhasyamastu me.
Shri Satya said, my father arranged for 7 extremely powerful and vigorous bulls with deadly sharp horns to test the prowess of the kings who desired my hand in marriage. Although these bulls destroyed the false pride of many heroes, Lord Krishna subdued them effortlessly, tying them up in the same way that children playfully tie up a goat's skits. He thus purchased me with his valor. Then he took me away with my maidservants and a full army of 4 divisions, defeating all the kings who opposed him along the road. May I be granted the privilege of serving that Lord.
Shri Bhadrovaca Pita me matuleyaya swayam ahuya dattavan Krishne krishnaya tachittam akshauhinya sakhi janaihi Asya me pada samsparsho bhavet janmani janmani karma bhirbhramyamanaya yena tachreya atmanaha.
Sri Bhadra said, "My dear Draupadi, of his own free will, my father invited his nephew Krishna, to whom I had already dedicated my heart, and offered me to him as his bride. My father presented me to the Lord with an Akshauhini military guard and a retinue of my female companions. My ultimate perfection is this: to always be allowed to touch Lord Krishna's lotus feet as I wander from life to life, bound by my karma."
Shri Lakshmano vacha mamapi rajni achyuta janma karma shrutva muhurnarada geetamasaha chittam mukunde kila padmahastaya vritassu samrishya vihaya lokapan.
Sri Lakshmana said, "O Queen, I repeatedly heard Narada Muni glorify the appearances and activities of Achyuta, and thus my heart also became attached to that Lord, Mukunda. Indeed, even goddess Padmahasta chose him as her husband after careful consideration, rejecting the great demigods who rule various planets."
Mahishya uchuhu Baumam nihatya saganam yuditena ruddha Nyatva tanah kshitijaye jitaraja kanyah Nirmuchya samshriti vimokshanam anusmarantihi Padam bujam parininayaya aptakamaha.
Rohini Devi, speaking for the other queens, said, "After killing Bhaumasura and his followers, the Lord found us in the demon's prison and could understand that we were the daughters of the kings whom Bhauma had defeated during his conquest of the earth. The Lord set us free, and because we had been constantly meditating upon his lotus feet, the source of liberation from material entanglement, he agreed to marry us, though his every desire is already fulfilled."
Shri Munaya ujuhu yanmayaya tattvavid utthamavayam vimohita vishvashrujam adishvaraha yad ishitavyayati ghuda ihaya aho vichitram bhagavat vicheshtitam.
The great sages said, "Your power of illusion has totally bewildered us, the most exalted knowers of the truth and leaders among the universal creators. Ah, how amazing is the behavior of the Supreme Lord! He covers himself with his human-like activities and pretends to be subject to superior control."
Shri Bahulashva uvacha Bhavan hi sarva bhutanam atma sakshi swadrigvibho Atanastvat padambojam smaratam darshanam gataha.
Sri Bahulashva said, "O Almighty Lord, you are the soul of all created beings. They are self-illumined witness, and now you are giving your audience to us, who constantly meditate on your lotus feet."
Shrutadeva uvacha Nadhyano dharshanam prapta param paramapurushaha Yarhidam shakti visrishtva pravishto hi atmasattaya.
Shrutadeva said, "It is not that we have attained the audience of the Supreme Person only today, for we have in fact been associating with him ever since he created this universe with his energies and then entered it in his transcendental form."
Shri Shrutaya uchuhu Jaya Jaya Jahi Ajam Ajita Dhosha Grubhita Gunam त्वमसि यद् आत्मना समवरुद्ध समस्तभगः अगजगदोकसाम् अखिलशक्ति अवबोधकते क्वचिदजयात्मना च चरतोऽनुचरेन्निगमः.
The Shruti said, "Victory, victory to you, O unconquerable one. By your very nature, you are perfectly full in all opulences. Therefore, please defeat the eternal power of illusion, who assumes control over the modes of nature to create difficulties for conditioned souls. O you who awaken all the energies of the moving and non-moving embodied beings, sometimes the Vedas can recognize you as you sport with your material and spiritual potencies."
श्रीविदेह उवाच मन्ये भगवतः साक्षात् पार्षदान्वो मधुद्विषः विष्णोर्भूतानि लोकानां पावनाय चरन्ति.
King Videha said, "I think that you must be direct associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is famous as the enemy of the demon Madhu. Indeed, the pure devotees of Lord Vishnu wandered throughout the universe not for their personal selfish interest, but to purify all the conditioned souls."
Shri Kabir Uvacha Manye kutashchid bhayamachyutasya padhambujopasanamatra nityam उद्विग्न बुद्धेर असधात्म भावाद विश्वात्मना यत्र निवर्तते बीः.
Shri Kavi said, "I consider that one whose intelligence is constantly disturbed by his falsely identifying himself with the temporary material world can achieve real freedom from fear only by worshipping the lotus feet of the infallible Supreme Lord. In such devotion service, all fear ceases entirely."
Shri Rajovacha Atha Bhagavatam Bruta Yadharmo Yadrusho Nrinam Yatha Charati Yadbrute Yairlinghair Bhagavat Priyaha.
Maharaja Nimi said, "Now please tell me in greater detail about the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What are the natural symptoms by which I can distinguish between the most advanced devotees, those on the middle level, and those who are neophytes? What are the typical religious activities of a Vaishnava, and how does he speak? Specifically, please describe those symptoms and characteristics by which Vaishnavas become dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead."
Shri Havir Uvacha Sarvabhuteshu yap pashyed bhagavad bhavamatmanaha bhutani bhagavati atmani yesha bhagavatottamaha.
Shri Havir said, "The most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord."
Shri Antariksha Uvacha Ebhirbhutani bhutatma mahabhutair mahabhuja Sasarjochavachanyadya swamatratma prasiddaye.
Shri Antariksha said, "O mighty armed king, by activating the material elements, the primeval soul of all creation has sent forth all living beings in higher and lower species, so that these conditioned souls can cultivate either sense gratification or ultimate liberation, according to their desire."
Shri Prabhuddha Uvacha Karmani Arabhamananam Dukkha Hatyai Sukhaya Cha पश्येत्पाकविपर्यासं मिथुनीचारिणां नृणाम्.
Sri Prabuddha said, accepting the roles of male and female in human society, the conditioned souls unite in sexual relationships. Thus they constantly make material endeavors to eliminate their unhappiness and unlimitedly increase their pleasure. But one should see that they inevitably achieve exactly the opposite result. In other words, their happiness inevitably vanishes, and as they grow older, their material discomfort increases.
Shri Pippalayana Uvacha Sthiti Udbhava Pralaya Hetura Heturasya Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptishu Sadbahischa Dehendriyasu Hrudayani Charanti Yena Sanjivitani Tadavehi Param Narendra.
Sri Pippalayana said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. Yet he has no prior cause. He pervades the various states of wakefulness, dreaming, and unconscious deep sleep, and also exists beyond them. By entering the body of every living being as the Super Soul, he enlivens the body, senses, life airs, and mental activities. And thus all the subtle and gross organs of the body begin their functions. My dear king, know that personality of Godhead to be the supreme.
Shri Avirhotra Uvacha Karma Karma Vikarmeti Vedavado Nalaukikaha Vedasya Cheshvaratmatvat Tatra Muhyanti Surayaha.
Sri Avirhotra replied, prescribed duties, non-performance of such duties, and forbidden activities are topics one can properly understand through authorized study of the Vedic literature. This difficult subject matter can never be understood by mundane speculation. The authorized Vedic literature is the sound incarnation of the personality of Godhead himself, and thus Vedic knowledge is perfect. Even the greatest learned scholars are bewildered in their attempts to understand the science of action if they neglect the authority of Vedic knowledge.
Shri Dhrumila Uvacha Yo va anantasya gunananantan anukramishyan satubhala buddhihi rajamsi bhumer ghanayet katanchet khale nanaivaki dashakti dhamnaha.
Sri Dhrumila said, anyone trying to enumerate or describe fully the unlimited qualities of the unlimited Supreme Lord has the intelligence of a foolish child. Even if a great genius could somehow or other, after a time-consuming endeavor, count all the particles of dust on the surface of the earth, such a genius could never count the attractive qualities of the personality of Godhead, who is the reservoir of all potencies.
Shri Chamasa Uvacha Mukabahu Rupadhebhya Purushasya Shramaisah Chatvaro Jagnire Varna Gunair Vipradhaya Pritak.
Sri Chamasa said, each of the four social orders, headed by the Brahmanas, was born through different combinations of the modes of nature, from the face, arms, thighs, and feet of the Supreme Lord, in his universal form. Thus the four spiritual orders were also generated.
Shri Kharabhajana Uvacha Krutham Treta Dvaparam Chakhalir Iti Eshu Keshavaha नानावर्णाभिधाकारो नानैव विधिनेज्यते.
Sri Karabhajana replied, in each of the 4 yugas or ages, Krita, Treta, Dwapara and Kali, Lord Keshava appears with various complexions, names and forms, and is thus worshipped by various processes.
Shrideva uchuhu natasmate natapadharavindham buddhendriya prana manovachobihi yachintyate hृदि bhavayuktair mumukshubhihi karma mayorupashat.
The demigods began to speak. Our dear Lord, advanced mystic yogis striving for liberation from the severe bondage of material work meditate with great devotion upon your lotus feet within their hearts. Dedicating our intelligence, senses, vital air, mind and power of speech to your Lordship, we demigods bow down at your lotus feet.
Shri Uddhava Uvacha Devadevesha Yogesha Punyashravana Kirtana Samhrityaitat Kulam Nunam Lokam Santyakshyate Bhavan Viprashapam Samartopi Pratyahannayadishvaraha.
Sri Uddhava said, O my Lord, O Supreme God among all the demigods, real piety is invoked simply by hearing and chanting your transcendental glories. My Lord, it appears that you will now withdraw your dynasty, and thus you yourself will finally give up your pastimes within this universe. You are the supreme controller and the master of all mystic power. But although you are fully capable of counteracting the Brahmana's curse against your dynasty, you are not doing so, and your disappearance is imminent.
Shri Brahmana Uvacha Sukham Aindriyakam Rajan Swarge Narakayevacha Dehinam Yadyata Dhukkam Tasman Necheta Tadbudaha.
The saintly Brahmana said, O king, the embodied living entity automatically experiences unhappiness in heaven or hell. Similarly, happiness will also be experienced even without one seeking it. Therefore, a person of intelligent discrimination does not make any endeavor to obtain such material happiness.
Dvija Uvacha Nayam Jano Me Sukha Dukka Hetur Na Devatatma Graha Karma Kalaha Manaparam Karanam Amananti Samsara Chatram Parivartayedyat.
The Brahmana said, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. Neither are the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work, or time. Rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life.
Shri Yajnavalkya Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Adityaya Khila Jagatam Atmaswarupena Khalaswarupena Chaturvidha Bhuta Nikayanam Brahmadistamba Paryantanam Antarhrudayeshu Bahir api chakasha ivopadina vyavadhiyamano Bhavan yekaye vakshana lavanimesha vayavopachita Samvatsara ghanenapam adhana visarghabhyam imam lokayatram anubahati.
Sri Yajnavalkya said, I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sun. You are present as the controller of the four kinds of living entities, beginning from Brahma and extending down to the blades of grass. Just as the sky is present both inside and outside every living being, you exist both within the hearts of all as the Super Soul and externally in the form of time. Just as the sky cannot be covered by the clouds present within it, you are never covered by any false material designation. By the flow of years, which are made up of the tiny fragments of time, called kshanas, lavas, and nimeshas, you alone maintain this world, drying up the waters and giving them back as rain.
श्रीमार्कण्डेय उवाच प्रपन्नोऽस्म्यङ्घ्रिमूलं ते प्रपन्नाभयदं हरे यन्माययापि विबुधा मुह्यन्ति ज्ञानकाशया.
Sri Markandeya said, O Lord Hari, I take shelter of the soles of your lotus feet, which bestow fearlessness upon all who surrender to them. Even the great demigods are bewildered by your illusory energy, which appears to them in the guise of knowledge.
Harihi